Hello everyone. So welcome to the session 3 of Node.js. So today we're going to know about HTTP in introduction to HTTP in Node.js. Okay. Before going to the topic, I'll give a brief intro about Newton School. So Newton School is a initiative taken by a bunch of IIT graduates. So where the main goal of Newton School is to uh, teach the fundamentals to the students like who are looking for a career transition, okay, or career transition, so we start from basics and build we can build training on the full stack web development. So this course is like a placement guarantee program. Okay. Uh, so so uh, so Newton School taken another initiative called Newton School Launchpad. So where we thought so many people are doing like career transition or stream transition. So we thought we should be make them fundamentally strong. Okay. So basically, like if you are stepping into computer science, so you should be having like a good fundamentals about all the computer science topics. So that is and Newton School Launchpad comes into picture. Okay. Uh, so so if you see the screen. So if you want to like enroll into this Launchpad, so this is the page. You can go to here, like click on sign up. You'll get some form over here. Fill in the details. So then you will be have will be enrolling into this Newton School Launchpad. Then after logging in, so this is like how the Launchpad looks. So if you scroll down, like you can see the courses that are currently running in the Launchpad. Okay, so there are so many courses, like all the computer science fundamental courses. Okay. So if you want to if you want to apply for any course, okay, here you can see like there is a course introduction to data structure by Upul Chakravarti. Click on apply. Okay. So click on apply for filling the application. So fill in the basic details about like what is the current location that you are residing on, what is the graduation year. Okay. How did you know about like our Newton School or Newton School's Launchpad? Okay. So on which college currently you are studying in. Okay. That's all required. So after like filling in the details, so you'll get in this way, like okay. So like here, so this means like you have enrolled into this particular course. So like after enrolling, you can like go through all the sessions, all the lectures that we deliver. Okay. So if you have any doubts regarding that particular lecture, you can click on add a doubt button. So then you will be redirected to some other page where you can add the doubt title and the detailed description of your doubt, and any images or any playground code that you want to include. You can include those things also. Okay. So if suppose like you want to know like what your peers have any doubts regarding the course, then you can go to the doubts forum where you can see all the questions that your peers have. Okay. So other thing you can see is so the playground. So here you can see where you can try to practice your or hone your skills. Like we'll be providing some editors where you can make utilize of like using some. You can write some code. You can give some input and you can get some output. Okay. We also provide like different languages like Bash scripting. Okay. JavaScript, Java, C++, and everything is present here only. Okay. So we also provide the IDE as I said right now. So for every course, you'll be having some progress bar kind of thing, where like if you complete 20% of the two lectures, you will be getting like the progress will be at 20%. Okay. So do check out this Newton School Launchpad thing and do enroll the courses that you might be interested in. Okay. So that's all about the intro. So we'll get to this. The introduction to HTTP. So yesterday where we left, so we discussed about file system, path, OS, and URL modules. Okay. So today we'll discuss about an important module called HTTP. Okay. So HTTP. Uh, so in this HTTP introduction, today we'll cover all these topics. Like we'll know about like what is HTTP, what is the difference between HTTP and HTTPS, and difference between a request and a response. Okay, what are the types of HTTPs that we have, and how can we implement the HTTP request so that they can interact with server and client. So that, and also we can test that whether that is working or not using something called Postman. Okay, so these are all the things that we cover in the today's session. So basically, what is HTTP? So yesterday, so in the first session, if you have remembered, so we discussed something called server will be able to serve information to the client. Okay, so how will we do so using some API, but the API will be based upon this HTTP. HTTP is an abbreviation. The full form of HTTP is Hypertext Transfer Protocol. What does it transfer? It transfers some information. Okay, server to client or client to server. Okay, so that is the first point. So what is the use of HTTP? So use of HTTP is like it's like communication between web servers and clients. Okay, so HTTP is useful for communication between two systems. One is client, one is server. Okay. So other thing is, we'll go in detail like how can we implement this on our local machines. Okay. So the third point is, this HTTP is a cycle of request and responses. Okay. So don't imagine HTTP is a complex thing. No. So if a particular system sends you a request and a server is sending a response with respect to the request, that is known as like HTTP. Okay. For example, there is a client who needs some set of data. Okay, so which is present in the database. So then what the client will do, the client will request server who can access the the database. Okay, so hi server, I want a data of some ex student. Okay, then what the server will do, the server will uh, get to the database, fetch the data from the database, and then respond to the particular request. It's which is nothing but a response. So in that response, it will give us the required results or required queried results. Okay, so that's all. Okay, that is the main use of like HTTP. Like that is what about HTTP. So if in the real world, like what where you can see whenever you load some pages, okay, whenever you submit some form, okay, whenever you do some Ajax calls, then the HTTP will calls will be triggered. For example, sorry, yeah. So this is the page. Whenever I reload a particular page, okay, so I'm getting this data, right? So in background, there is some HTTP call is being happening. HTTP request is being happening. A protocol is being happening. Okay, so that is about like basic HTTP. Okay, so HTTP is stateless. So what does the word stateless mean? Stateless means, for example, so initially, so here what we saw, client is requesting for some data and server is responding to that particular request. Okay, so if I so that is in the first step. Okay, so in this as in the second way, again the client is requesting for some data. Okay, and server is responding to that particular request, but it doesn't have any connection with the previous request and response. Okay, so that's what it's meant to say. So stateless means the initial request and the second request doesn't have any dependency. The two things are very different. Okay, so that is one thing is stateless. Okay, the second thing is doesn't remember previous request. For example, consider myself as a client and you as a server. Okay, so I'm asking something, I'm requesting something from you. Okay, so I will say like I want data, I want an X data. That's it. I will request it, then I'll forget. I don't even like ask for acknowledgement. I won't do anything and anything like that. I won't require any acknowledgement. I won't require any slip or any kind of thing. I just ask you. I want an X data. That's all. I will forget about that later on. Okay. Then what you will do, as I asked you, you might have stored that information like that I am asking you. Then you will be responding for my request. Okay. Basically, it doesn't remember any request. The moment it asks, it will forget. That is basic meaning of stateless. Okay, so yeah. So you might think like, for example, I am storing some passwords. So for example, take some X website. You have logged into some X website and you have shut down your laptop, and again you turned on your laptop and visited the same website, but you see that you are already logged in, because initially whenever you open the website you have logged in. Even after turning off and turning on the laptop also, you have been logged in into the website. So here you can think like it is storing some data, right, in that way. But basically, so this comes under like enhancing the user experience. Okay, so where the password, where the user credentials are getting stored, whether it might be in local storage, okay, or whether it might be in the sessions, or whether it might be in the cookies. Okay, so the details are stored in these three formats, but it doesn't have any relation with the HTTP request and responses. Okay, so it's meant to say like I am stateless. You request some data, I will give it to you, but I don't remember the previous one. That's all. Okay, I'll remember the current one only. So that's like this is like a quite simple example. Initially, client asked a server for a request and server responded for that request. Okay, now again in the second time it is asking, hey, do you remember me? No, it's saying like no. Basically it doesn't remember any previous requests or previous responses. That is the uh, exact meaning of stateless. Okay, so we like got to know like about like what is HTTP. Okay, why HTTP is a stateless thing? Because it doesn't remember any previous things, previous requests. Okay, now we'll see about what is HTTPS. Okay, so there's one additional word, one additional letter called S added over here. So what does additional letter mean? It is secure. For example, whenever you open a website, you will see a particular like in prefix you will be saying HTTP or HTTPS. So the basic difference is HTTPS specifies a particular website is secured. Okay, so secured in the sense, in what sense it is secured? So for example, you are filling some details. You are filling your details. Okay, like your name, your email ID, your phone number, and all these things. Okay, that will be stored in the website's database. Okay, so if the website is HTTP, your data will not be encrypted. So what happens if it's not encrypted? The hackers might gonna steal the data, and they can be able to access your. They can be easily access your data. Okay, what if is a website you are using HTTPS? It is secured. The data you are entering into it will be encrypted. Yeah, as soon as you have submitted, it will be encrypted and stored in the database. Even though the hackers steal the data, they cannot able to decrypt it. Okay, so that's of no use. Even though your data is got stolen, the hacker not gonna know your details. Okay, so that's the main use of HTTPS. Nowadays like every website is looking for integrating this HTTPS into their website. Okay, so how can we make this make any website secured? So using SSL and TLS. Okay, how can we like we can just install the SSL certificate in the website. That's all. Like the website will get secured, but you should also make sure like the data is being encrypted or not. Okay, so that's the basic difference between HTTP and HTTPS. Okay, so until now we are hearing a common word called request and response. Okay, what is this request and what is this response? Basically, for example, there are two systems talking to each other. Okay, so consider A and B. Okay, initially A is requesting A needs some data. Okay, A needs some data. So which B has it. Okay, so then A asks B, I want a number of data, n data, like nx data. Okay, so that means A is requesting B that he or she wants some data. Okay, so that means now A becomes a client. Okay, so whatever he asks will be a request to whatever he asks will be a request. Okay, then B will be a giver, which is means the server, which will be responding, like which will okay, you requested some data, right? I will give you the data. So as it has B is a giver, he is responding to it. So that's why like that sending the data is like a response. So here if you can see, request will be like from client to server. Okay, response will be like from server to client. Okay, so initially client will request for some data, any like request for some information, not only data, for some information. Okay, then client will server will respond to client, which is nothing but a response. Okay, so that is the main basic difference between request and response. Okay, now, so we have discussed about HTTP, we have discussed about HTTPS. as it is secured one, and we also discussed about what is a request and what is a response. Okay, now HTTP has different methods. Okay, more than four methods. Look here, I have mentioned only four methods, which any web developer will be regularly using. Okay, so there are like more than four methods, but these are the important ones. So what are the HTTP methods? Get, post, put, and delete. Okay, so we'll see in it like what is it get. Get means it retrieves data from server. Okay, for example, you have loaded a website, so then this get HTTP method will be triggered, and it fetches the data from the server, retrieves data from server, and publishes it on the website. That is get HTTP method. Now post. Post means, for example, whenever you are post means what, submit data to the server. Okay, whenever you are trying to log in with your credentials, okay, or sign up with your credentials, no, that whole data will be sent to the server. Means storing it using the server. Okay, so put means so whenever you have like written some blog post, okay, or you have written some Quora article, or you have mentioned some comment, mentioned like you have commented on a photo or a video, okay, but later on like you wanted to change that particular comment or particular blog post or particular Quora article, okay, then what you will do, you'll click on three dots, you'll go to click on edit, and you will change some data that you have written. Okay, so then put comes into picture. Okay, so that the article that you have written is already present in the database, but you are trying to edit it. Edit in the sense you are trying to update it. So then this put HTTP method will be triggered. Okay, so delete. So it deletes it from the server. For example, you have added some comment which might be like something not related. So that's why later on you realize you want to delete a comment or delete an article. So then this delete HTTP method will be triggered. Okay, so basic, create, okay, read, update, and delete. Basic CRUD operations. These are like CRUD operations. Okay. Okay. So we covered HTTP methods. Okay. Whenever we have a request or whenever we got a response, so the request will be having two parts and response will be also be having two parts. One is a request body and another is request headers for request. For response, it is response body and also response headers. Okay, so here we will talk about headers, like mainly concentrate on the headers. Okay, why headers? Headers are like which we won't talk too much about. Like body is nothing but the data that we send, that we already know about. But the headers are like predefined. So one who is into Node.js or into web development should be able to know what are headers. Okay, what are the different attributes in the headers. Okay, for example, this is like some kind of logging happened over here. So here you can see there is an URL and then there is a code called get. Get is a HTTP method we know. So this is like path. This is the protocol, HTTP protocol. Okay, if there is a link, it is a HTTPS protocol. Okay, so these are all the red color box indicates the a particular HTTP headers. Okay, that is fine, right? So now we'll go in deep about the HTTP headers, like what are the different type of HTTP headers. Okay, so there are like three types. One is general HTTP headers, another is response HTTP headers, and the request HTTP headers. So general HTTP headers are like are common to both request and response. Okay, so what are those? So if you say a request URL, for example, you have a server. Okay, a particular client is requesting for some data, for some X data. So the client will be having an URL, right? Okay, then the URL will be like for example newtonschool.com or facebook.com or some xdomain.com. Okay, who are requesting the data, that a requester's URL will be present over here, which is request URL. Okay, so what kind of request method he is using, whether he is asking for data, which is get, whether he is submitting the data to server, then it will be post. Okay, so the request method will be as per the requirement of like what they using. So what are the status code? So we will discuss status code in the next slide. Okay, status code is nothing but whether the operation is completed successfully or not. If completed successfully, we'll be giving some particular code to identify whether it is completed or not. For example, like if you see like 200, then the data is successfully completed. For example, it is 404. There's something error happened in client side. Okay, for example, the status code is 500. Then there is some error happened on server side. Okay, so these are able to identify where the problem has occurred. Okay, whether it is successfully completed or not. What is the stage in currently that particular request is in. Okay, so with status code we will be able to identify that. Okay, what is remote address? So remote address means we'll be able to get the IP address of uh, client. Okay, whoever is requesting for some particular data will be able to get the IP address of that particular client. Okay, so now the response and request. Okay, so a response have like multiple attributes again. So one is like server. For example, like whenever we develop a web application, we'll be having, of course, we'll be having server. Okay, so that server might be like Apache or Nginx or Node.js, anything. Okay, so that server, like whoever like sending the response. So what are the server they are using? That server name will be present over here. Okay, whether they want to send some cookies to client. Okay, like small piece of cookies, nothing but a chunks of data, small chunks of data that server will be sending to the client. Okay, so what is the content type? For example, I have requested for some data. So like client requested some data from server, then server will be sending the data. But what is the type of the data that I am requesting and that server is sending to me? So that type will be set over here, content type. If the server is sending me some HTML data, then the type will be like text slash HTML. Okay, if the server is sending me some text, normal text data, then it will be text. If server is sending me some JSON data, then it will be text slash JSON. Okay, so what is the length? So the length here will be measured in form of bytes. Okay, whether it's like 8 bytes or 8 byte bits. Okay, so the length of the data that server is sending. What is the date? The exact time or date that response is being sent. Okay, similarly for a request. Okay, so whether the already existing cookie should be sent or not. Okay, accept language. For example, a website has like a predefined accepts only like only some certain languages, like only English or Spanish. So the data should also be in that particular language only. Okay, so here like we saw the content type and content length. So again, like if the even so here like data is handled between two ends. So initially client asks for some particular data. Okay, so it is asking for some data. So what the total type of the data it is asking, it should be mentioned in content type. It is asking HTML or whether it is asking JSON. Okay, and also it also mentioned length. Okay, if there is any authorization like JWT tokens and all these things, that will be come under the authorization. Okay, so that is all about like HTTP address in different scenarios. General, like common to both request and response. So the other attributes which are specific to response, and other attributes which are specific to request. Okay. So now we'll say about HTTP status codes. Okay. So any status code ranging from 100 to 199 is like information responses. The information is received. Okay, but it is still processing the information. Okay, it is the information is successfully received, but the processing is not yet completed. Okay, so then we will see status code of 100 to 199. Okay, so whether to verify whether the HTTP request is successfully done or not, what is the stage of the particular HTTP request. So if the status code is 200 to 299, then we can say like we have successfully received the information, and also we have successfully processed that information. Okay, so so now HTTP stands for ranging from 300 to 399. Okay, for example, initially I have loaded some data. Then if I again reload the particular website, or if there is no change in the data, then it will show a status called which is ranging from 300 to 399. Okay, if there is some status called ranging from 400 to 499, then there is some error in the client side. Okay, if there is some the status code, if it is ranging from 500 to 599, there is some error in the server side. Okay, yeah. So now what we'll do is, so we'll implement some HTTP request using Node.js. Okay. So we'll open the VS Code. Okay. Yeah. So in the so I have created a directory called Node.js HTTP. Okay. In this directory, I will create a file called app.js. Okay. So in this, what I will do, so until like what is the module that we have discussed? It is HTTP module. So now I will open this Node.js documentation, and I will try to find out like how to use that particular HTTP module. Okay, where it is, or here it is HTTP. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So as you open the documentation, so initially to import that particular built-in module, what we should do? So we should be importing using require keyword. Okay. So initially what will require of, sorry, require of HTTP. Okay. But in order to use it, I should be storing this particular imported module in some variable. So I will store the particular imported module in HTTP variable, which is constant. Okay. So now after importing it, so the main task is to create a server. Okay. How could I create a server? So HTTP HTTP has a method called create server. Okay. So now whenever, so what I'm trying to do is, so I'm making my laptop as a server as of now. Okay. In my laptop I'm using a port, so that will be acting as a server. Okay. So wherever you are, like in this particular network, you can send me request. Okay. So I will be able to catch, and we'll be seeing that right now. Okay. So here you can see http dot create server. Okay. http dot create server. Okay. So now what we'll do, okay, yeah, so we'll store the particular object in server. Okay. So now I will start listening in the sense, so my server is up and running, so you can hit my server with any required request that you need. Okay. So that's why I'll write a server dot listen of, so in the whole computer, like in the whole this system will be having some ports. Okay. So in that port, like we can select a port which will be acting as server for us. So even like whoever the client is, client should be able to use that particular address to hit that particular port. Okay. So now I'm using 5000 port. Okay. Console.log of server listening. So server listening is a server is listening for incoming connections from clients. Okay. So now we'll try to run this particular file. How can we run? Using node space the name of the file that we want to execute, app.js. Okay, here you can see we got the server listening, but this is not been terminated because it is still active. Okay. If you want to find out whether your server is actually present in this particular port or not, so I will tell you it. Open your command prompt. Okay. Type this command. Okay. Which is netstats -ano. Okay. Slash and find the port number which you want to find. Okay. Run it. So here you can see it is saying I am listening at this particular IP address. So basically, as we are running it in local, so the local host IP address will be what? Either it is 0.0.0.0 or it will be like 127.0.0.0. Okay. So these are the two things. Okay. So which are in which state? Listening state. Okay. For example, if you want to see it again, I will try to comment this code. Okay, I will stop this and I will again run this file. Okay, here you can see it is exited, and also I will again run this particular file, run this particular command. Here you can see nothing because 5000 port, in 5000 port there is no server which is in listening state. That's why there are no results for us. Okay, so this is the way how you can find out whether a particular port is acting as a server or not. Okay, so I'll again uncomment this, will save it, and I will again rerun. If you here, if you can see, the command is not terminated. Okay, so it is in the listening state. If you want to find out, we can use this command. That is fine, right? So now we have created a server which is in listening state. Okay. Now what we'll do is, so as we created a server, we will try to send some responses. Okay. So think like we are getting some request. So okay. So based upon that request, we'll be sending some responses. Okay. So initially we'll start with some basic text. Okay. So to do that, what you should do is here. So what is the two things? Okay, here we'll be getting callback function. So in that callback function, what are the parameters we are getting? Request and response. Okay, I'll request and response. So I am using this fat arrow for satisfying the ES6 needs. Okay, so now uh, so request is what the client is requesting for us. Response is what the data that we are sending to this particular client. Sorry. Okay. So what I will do is initially I will send some a text called hello. Sorry. Yeah. Response dot write. Okay. To send any data, we should use an attribute called write. Okay. In write, I will be sending hello using HTTP. Okay. So as that is my response that I want to send. So then I will ending that. I'm ending that particular response. That's all. Okay. So we'll again stop this. Again rerun because the newly added changes will not be reflected if we don't rerun this particular file. Okay. We'll see like how we can work on this problem in future sessions. Okay. So I'm again like started running this particular thing. Now we'll go to this new website where I will open localhost. So in which port I'm running this particular server. Okay, in port 5000. Okay, the moment I have triggered this URL, I got a function called hello using HTTP, which I have sent over here. Response right of hello using HTTP. Okay, so this particular web browser is a client for me right now. Okay, so this is the server. So this client has requested for some data. Okay, then I send some response which is a text containing hello using HTTP. Okay, I think that you have understood until now. So this browser is acting as a client for me, and this is currently running server. As I got a request, then I send this particular data. Okay, now we will try to debug this thing. Okay, how can we debug? Press Control Shift on your Windows machine or right click and go to inspect if you're in another operating systems. Okay, so here you can see something like this. Go to network tab. Okay, so after going to network tab, try to reload this page again. Okay, here you got something called localhost. Okay, click on it and go to headers. So I already discussed about headers. So now what I have discussed in HTTP headers. Give me a second. So in HTTP headers, like what are the general headers? Request URL and request method. Okay. So what is the URL that I have requested? Localhost 5000. Okay. So what is the status code 200 and okay. Because so basically what is the request method? It is the get method. Okay. So because I am retrieving the data from server. Okay. I am not sharing any because the client is not sharing any data. Server is only sending me the data, which is nothing but a get request method. So that's why like we have the get request method. So what is the status code? Status code is 200 because so we have successfully received the information and we are able to process the information too, because that is the reason only we are able to see it over here. If you are unable to process it, will not be able to see it on the screen. Okay, I will zoom it. Yeah. Yes, you can see now. Yeah. Okay. So as we received the information, or as we are able to see the information only, it is meant to be processed. That's why you got the status code of 200. The OK is a status message. Okay. What is the remote address? Remote address is colon 1 5000. Okay. So these are the basic HTTP address that we will encounter. Okay. So in response, like what is the time that we have sent this response? What is the response now here is this hello using HTTP is a response. So the when did we do that? Like 24th February 15/3/23 GMT. So this is like another standard time. It is not like IST. Okay, it is the time measure is different. Okay, so there are two different time measures. This is one of them. Okay. So what are the other things? So as we send this English, like the accepting language is English, ENUS. Okay. Uh, so now we are able to find out like how can we send this data. Okay, on a request and response. Okay. Now what we'll do is, for example, I would like to access an API. So what does an API endpoint mean is, for example, I have like written slash and I want something called courses. Okay. So here slash courses will be an API endpoint for us. Okay. So now I will try to. So now what? So now what the result should be is like I should be able to get the result of some courses. Okay. So we'll try to load this page using this URL. Instead of like getting courses, whenever like whatever we give over here like slash API, okay, slash list. Okay. So whatever this API endpoint might be, we're getting the same information, which is hello using HTTP, because we are not checking what is the request URL. Okay. So what I'm trying to say is now, so you are requesting for some data. Okay. I'm giving the data. So whoever is requesting some set of data, I'm giving the same data to everyone. Okay. So I should be able to prioritize the data, which one to give to whom. Okay. So that's why what I will do is I'll make conditional coding. Okay. Request. So whenever there is a request for me, I will try to check the URL of the request. So if the URL request is okay slash for me, then what I will do, I will so slash is nothing but a home page. Okay. I will try to just print the hello using, like I will send the hello using HTTP. Okay. So what if it is not that case? Okay. Then what I will do, like I will, sorry, if it is not that particular case, I will send response dot write of other API endpoint. Sorry. So it is response dot end of. Okay. So that is the so response dot end of means it is my end of response. It is the end of my response. Okay. I'll try to save it. Okay. I will rerun this application again. Okay. I will remove this and run this thing. So I got hello using HTTP. So here this means, so the localhost colon 5000 and localhost colon 5000 slash is the same thing. Okay. There is no difference. But what if I give something called list? Okay. Then I got other result called other API endpoint, because it is not in the home page. It is in a page where it has like other some API, a different API endpoint, which is now list. Okay. So if I give like courses, it will be showing like you are in other API endpoint. You are not in the home page. Okay. So what if I remove this? So then I got this hello using HTTP. Okay. So as they are not requesting the correct URL, which is the home page, what I will try to do, I will try to send a status code of send a different status code, which will be response dot. We'll use response dot write head. Okay, which means like we are modifying the headers. Okay, so instead we'll try to remove this. Okay, now we'll rerun this again. Okay, so we'll reload this. So at the home page, we are getting the hello using history. So it is a list. What are we getting? We are getting nothing. Okay, yeah, so it will run into error. Why? Because we haven't tackled that particular case. We are only responding for hello using history for home page with hello using HTTP. So now if request dot URL is equal to slash courses. Okay. So if someone is want to view courses, okay, what are the courses? Just assume we are building some website. Okay, then what we'll do? We'll send some response of courses. Okay, which we'll send using write method. Okay, 1, 2, 3. So this is not there, right? So what we'll do? We'll send a list of courses. Okay, all the courses which are available with us. For example, Node.js, okay, DSA, data system algorithms, okay, and also what else like Python, okay. So these two three things are enough for as of now. Response dot. So this is my end of response. Okay, I will stop this application. I will rerun this application because to reflect the latest changes. Okay, we'll rerun this. Size localhost 5000. We get this result. What if it is a localhost of courses, right? So our API endpoint is courses. So what? So here you can see our server has an error. Okay. Okay. 1 second. Yeah. So our server has raised an error, and the application is also like stopped executing. Okay. And server is also like not currently running. So we'll check out like why this error got occurred. Okay. So what is the error that is showing? So here in app.js, the error is at 11th line, okay, and 13th character. Okay, what is the 11th line? So in this line, there is some error. Okay, so what is the error means? So whenever we are trying to send the response, by default, HTTP can be able to handle text. Okay, so if you want to if you want to send some other kind of data, so as it is a object now, so we should be able to stringify it. Basically what we're doing, we're just like modifying the object into normal string data, just text data. Okay, I have saved this like we'll use json.stringify. Okay, I'll rerun this again. I'll reload this page. So now if you can see, we got this list of the courses, so in the JSON format. Okay, JSON or in the list format. Okay, that is one way of like dealing with the text. So for text data, we can send like directly using write command. But when you are using other kind of data like JSON data or list data, you should use JSON not stringify. Okay. Now, for example, uh, the request URL is what we can say view. Okay. So the request URL is view. Okay. So in request, so then what we'll do is we'll send some HTML content. Okay, we'll send some HTML content or some web page content. Okay, so here you can see H1 is the title tag. Okay, it will be like heading tag. Okay, so in that, what I will say, hello world using H. Okay, I will end that h1 tag over here. Okay, so as this is my response, I will end it the end of my response. So to reflect these changes, I will again rerun this. So as it is a courses, we are getting courses, fine. So now our API endpoint is view. Here you can see we got the HTML data. Okay, as we mentioned this in the h1 tag, so we got the HTML data. Okay, yeah. So like we have tried with three different types of data. One is text data, another is JSON data, which is nothing but a list, and another is the HTML. Okay, so basically server can be able to pass the web content like web pages or HTML pages is through responses. Okay, so that is the like basic understanding that you can get right now when I send the h1 tag. Okay, yeah. And so what else we can do is so okay, so now we are trying all these things with the browser. Okay, so for example, you want to debug all these things. Okay, there is some tool called Postman. Okay, you can directly Google Postman download. You will be able to get the official link, and you will directly download this from over here over there. Okay, we'll create new one. Okay, so now here we should hit the localhost 5000 port, right? Localhost 5000. Okay, so we'll hit that. Here you also got the result. What is the result? Hello using HTTP. What are the headers that we got in the response? Okay, the date is 24th February GMT time. Okay, what are the cookies? There are no cookies. We are not using any cookies as of now. Okay, for example, we need to do the uh, courses. We need to get the list of the courses. Send. So we got the list of the courses. Again, what are the headers? The same thing. Okay. So here, these are the below ones are the response headers. The above ones are the request headers. Okay. Okay. So here we'll go with the view one. Okay. View. We hit send. We go what we got. We got HTML data. Okay. So as it is a Postman debugging tool, we get the same HTML data. If you do this hit in the web browser, we get the HTML parsed text, which is in the H1 format. So now what we'll do is we'll print some, we'll send some data through this Postman, and will see what the send data is. Okay, console.log of request.body. Okay, we'll rerun it. So what is the data type? We can make it raw. Okay, hello. Okay. We'll send it. Here you can see it's undefined. So name Newton. Send. Okay. We're getting requested for user undefined. So we'll look into this later. Okay. So I guess like until now, like you guys like had understood like what about like what is the HTTP. Okay. how can we use the HTTP and create a server, okay, and how can we use after creating a server, how can we transfer different types of information using this HTTP module, okay. Okay, so now I guess like you also got the very good understanding of how to use Postman. So, but in the next sessions also we'll try to use the Postman as our debugging tool. Okay, and also we also use this browser for debugging how the results are getting generated. And so like that's all for this session. So I guess like you had understood everything about like the most of the basic fundamentals of HTTP module, okay. So if you have any doubt regarding this session or regarding this particular module, please visit the Newton School website, okay. I will be having a doubt form over there. You can ping us over there, like if you have any doubt we'll get back to you as soon as possible. Yeah, that's all for today's session. Thanks.